Oh man, we have a grail level knife here. Wait a minute, that's not a knife. This is a knife. When I went to the PMWCI knife show, there were a lot of cool knives. I was lucky enough to grab two, but two that I could not grab that really stood out. I'm just gonna take this off screen really quickly. Make sure I don't screw anything up here. Were the McGinnis Spoke and Hansen Onyx. And I was able to get the Hansen Onyx 2 weeks ago. Not the exact one that I saw at the show, but a really cool one nonetheless. Sorry, let me get this sucker out of here. And then just this week, I was able to land the Hansen Spoke, which I am just so excited, so stoked. So let's see what we think of what we got here. What's really cool about this Hansen Spoke, this McGinnis Spoke, this is one of his early prototypes. Whoa, super clean. I wasn't quite sure, given it was so old, but this is really nice. Wow. Oh man. Oh man. Can't believe he nailed it this good early on. This one actually comes with an extra pocket clip made out of carbon fiber. That's freaking cool. Come on. Oh wow. I didn't realize he nailed it this early on in the production. So this is McGinnis Spoke Prototype number 15. I have to even zoom in a little more. Dated, there you can see it says Spoke right there. Dated 8/12 of 2018. And check that out. Signed Jerry McGinnis, 2018. That's freaking cool. Let me just double check here, but I believe these early ones, some of them were, and I don't know if he's still doing this, but I think they were on bearings. Let's see if we can tell. I don't know. I don't know if I can tell from here. Let me give it a quick feel. That is nice. I'm not quite sure. What I will say is the ones that really blew me away at the show were the new like full carbon fiber variants. Man, that is a nice little stonewash blade on there too. That's pretty sweet. Let's grab a cloth really quickly and just get it nice and clean, get a full-on look at it. But yeah, the ones at the show that really blew me away were the full carbon fiber because they were so light. No, it wasn't even a mini spoke. It was a full-size spoke like this, and it was probably 2.5 ounces or something like that. I was really impressed. So I would, of course, want a titanium version as well. So it's cool to get this one in like a early prototype. Just want to see how the lockup is and everything. Everything feels great. Nice and early there. Oh, man, that is sweet. Looks pretty much dead center as far as I can tell. And then I could always grab a, I don't think you can front flip these, no. I could always grab a full CF one as more of like a potential carry knife, which is where I thought it was really spectacular. But man, this is just great action, just like the early ones. I don't think much changed in terms of the ergos, or I'm sorry, as very similar to the most recent ones. And I've talked about it on the channel before, but having a separate space for your front fingers and your back fingers in the same way, where it doesn't get too big in the back of the knife, it doesn't get too thin or narrow in the front, but not too big either. Gosh, that just feels so good. You got a little choke up point there if you want it. That's not my favorite aspect of this knife, but you can actually get into a really nice draw cut position on this knife. You can get really far up into this choil here, and it just feels like you can get way forward on the knife, even though it is really a full-size knife. If you're not quite sure what you're looking at here, let's do a little bit of analysis. In fact, what I'll do is I'll bring out some knives familiar to the channel there. There's a mini FSD, and here's a Rosie, and here's a Demco 8020 full size. I'm putting them above this knife just to do perspective. You can see that one's a bit bigger. Full size bug out. So that's, you know, full size knife. That's what this is. Boom. VC edge interface. Of course, everyone has one of those to compare at their house, right? Okay, never mind. Really similar size, I'd say, to the SPK Lamia. A little bigger. A little bigger. So let's do some measurements and stuff. Oh, CJRB Pyrite. That's a really good comparison there. It's a bit smaller than this guy. Kind of like putting them on both sides so you can see more of a comparison. Since I have the camera on an angle, it helps. Let's get rid of some of these knives and get into it. Man, I cannot believe that within, it's probably what, been 30 days since the event? Maybe, it's definitely under 2 months, but I think it's been under a month since I left that event. These can be really hard to find. To get one, and I got it at a reasonable price, and really big thanks to a friend that helped me get this. I should have mentioned that first and foremost. Oh, gosh, that is good. The seller said he thought it was on bearings. I actually think it's really well broken in on washers. But let me see if we can tell here. It's driving me crazy. I cannot tell. I think it's because it's a little dirty in there. So maybe I'll get this guy opened up and clean him up and see what's in there. But man, that is just so good. Just no detent lash. Gosh, that's spectacular. So this one has a carbon fiber inlay. Let me grab a little more light over here. Sorry about that. Nice little carbon fiber inlay on this guy. It's not like my favorite carbon fiber pattern, but you know, it actually does have a little bit of that prototype feel to it because of what it is. And wow, it is just occurring to me how seamless that is. If I close my eyes, I can't really tell. Maybe over here, you can't feel the seam on the carbon fiber. It's really flush on there. So if you're not familiar with these, you're looking at high thousands table price, you know, like $1,800. Secondary can be crazy, thousands more, like double, triple, depending on the model. These are not inexpensive knives. Just so we're really clear, this is not for the average knife owner that just needs something to throw in a drawer or whatever. This is for a knife enthusiast, I would say, or someone that's extremely rich and just wants a knife enthusiast to tell them what to buy. Exactly 8 inches. You have, wow, a nice almost 3 1/4, I'd say, of cutting edge, and about a 3.5, 3.375 blade. Let's see what this sucker weighs. Gosh, this is better than I expected it to be. When he told me he thought it was on bearings, I was expecting it to be a little more rattly or something, but I don't even think this thing's on bearings. 4.2 ounces. Again, if you get like one of those full CF front and back, I think they're probably like under 3 ounces, like probably 2.5 is what it felt like. Oh man, this is so good. It's so good. You know what I feel like this is what a lot of people want the SPK Lamia to be, and I actually do love my Lamia. It's like one of my favorite knives in my collection, top 10 I'd say. But people want this to be a little more drop shotty. That's basically what this is here. The Lamia is a little more of a compact package. This is more of a full-size knife, but he does make a mini spoke and a micro spoke that's even crazy small. But man, that is sweet. So now I really got to get in here and figure out if this is on bearings or washers. I just have to. I normally wouldn't even open up a knife like this, but now that I see it's a little dusty in there anyways, this thing's gonna benefit from a nice little cleaning. So I think I'm gonna take it down and take a look inside. It looks really easy to work on here. You got the 2 back spacer screws and the pivot pivot hardware, and you should be good to go. Now, is this it does not have an over travel stop, so you know that is a factor here. I don't know if the new ones do or not, but you know you'd have to be careful not to mess with the lock bar too much. But it doesn't feel like it's gonna be a problem, but you know, it'd be one of those things to be aware of. I don't see an over travel stop, at least on this prototype. I don't know if the newer ones have them or not. I don't think the newer ones had quite as much jimping here. I don't love the jimping, but it's not terrible. Roll out, great. Thumb flick, pretty darn good. This one's a little slippery just because it's like a nice stone wash on there. So I kind of wish that this was even a little bit taller here. You know, if you had that, and then the thumb hole was just a little wider for a full-size thumb, but you know, you're splitting hairs at that point. God, that is really good. Got a little lanyard hole for your lanyard nerds. Wow, what a cool knife. Not too often I get this excited about a knife, but really walked away from that show feeling like this was one of the top 3 or 4 knives that was there. You know, arguably #1, along with the Hansen. I really like the HMC that I got, and I really like the Prism that I got from Maverick Concepts. But this is on another level. It really is. This one's almost gravity drop shut. I gotta think that this is on bearings. Look at that. This has gotta be on bearings, right? Like, that'd be crazy. I didn't even realize it was so gravity drop shut. That's really cool. I was putting a little lock bar pressure on. Now that I move my hand off the lock bar, that is gravity drop shut. Holy shit. I know I don't swear very often on this channel. God damn. Yeah, I was putting a little lock bar pressure on there. Once you get off the lock bar, holy smokes, that is sweet. Whew. I can see why everyone's so freaking excited about these now. It's funny, I didn't even really know about McGinnis before I went to that event. Talked with another collector. He's like, oh dude, McGinnis is going to be there. You got to try and get one. I was not able to get very lucky on the lottery and was not about to go crazy on a auction. I'm not a big fan of auction. Great for makers, bad for buyers. It's kind of my take on auction. The only thing I'll say about auction is usually scalpers aren't doing auctions. Like, they're not going to go do an auction and then try and sell the knife for more because they go for so expensive. So at least the maker makes the money on an auction instead of some scalper. So many knives got scalped out of that event. It's so disgusting to me that people go there for the whole purpose of just buying the knife and then selling it off to someone for more, when someone like me or someone else goes there to try and buy the knife because they think it's awesome and meet the maker and get to buy it from the maker. And then people buy them and then flip them for 500 or 1,000 or even double, triple price of what the table price is. And it's like, okay, you know, it's a free country. We're a capitalist society, but man, it's really a bummer for collectors that want to be able to collect more knives. That means I can collect half as many knives, right, if I'm paying twice as much for them on the secondary. So I do my best to not pay much over table on the secondary, sometimes 10, 20, 30% on a hot knife. But man, it's very infrequent right now that I'll pay for much more on the secondary. I'm not down with this double table BS. So yeah, I think that's about it for now. This is just a real pleasure. I got this for a bit over $2,000, so it's not inexpensive, and I bet it was quite a bit less when it was a prototype actually. But as a collector, to get a prototype and a knife that already tables for around $1,800, I think, for something like this. I don't even know what this exact build would be now, but you know, most of his builds right now are around $1,800 or so. You know, that's not bad on the secondary. So yeah, it's some of these knives you can't really put a price on. I immediately feel like this goes into the top 10 in my collection. I know that aesthetically it may not be for everyone because of the carbon fiber inlay or whatever, but man, as a prototype of a knife that's become prolific in the custom knife community, that checks a crazy amount of boxes. The action is amazing, and yeah, the rarity is there. So pretty cool that it comes with this extra pocket clip. That'd probably shave, you know, a couple tenths of an ounce off or something like that. Who knows, maybe a tenth of an ounce lighter. And this other pocket clip's a little plain Jane, if we're being honest. I bet he's doing nicer stuff now. If I recall correctly, they're quite a bit fancier on the new versions now. So kind of cool to have this carbon fiber one that you could throw on there. I actually think that would take the whole aesthetic up a notch, just to have kind of a cool, you know, front back kind of synergy. But anyway, I bet functionally, in fact, I'll just try and throw this one in the pocket right now. Actually, I have a zipper on the pocket, so it's not going in there. It'll do the job. That's what it comes down to. This is actually really tight. I will say that. That is a really tight pocket clip. Not that I'm buying this as like an everyday carry, but can't stop talking about it. It's usually a good sign. That's all for now. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.